Hi, Sue Borison from Your Teen Media. I'm with Dr. Lucy McBride, internal medicine doctor in Washington, D.C.
Okay, Sue, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. I love talking about teenage issues. I have 3 teenagers of my own, so not only am I a doctor, I'm a mother. My interest has always been the intersection between mental health. So how does our mental health, our stress, our moods, our relationships to other people, how do those things inform how we feel, and then how we think, and then how we behave, and then how we are medically? So how do those things directly inform our health? What's interesting in the pandemic is that we are all noticing things about ourselves, our bodies and our minds that we didn't notice before. Whether or not you have coronavirus, whether or not you have flu and flu-like symptoms, fever, cough, we're all feeling vulnerable in some way. We've all lost parts of our lives, whether you've lost a loved one to the virus, or you've lost your senior year of high school, or you've lost the sports team that you always play on in the spring, or whether you've lost your group of friends you used to hang out with after school on the sidewalk in front of CVS and just chill. Like, those are big losses, and people are feeling those things, and those are valid feelings. And not only are they valid, but they also make us behave in different ways, and they make our health different. So that's what I'm interested in talking about. And particularly in the pandemic, we're seeing that all of these things are being laid bare.
One of the things you talked about leads to this question, which is we have a need for rules and guidance, and
yes,
often we get it from our doctors and our government, and at this moment there's not a lot of guidance. There's some very vague rules. What do we do as parents?
Kids are looking to us more than ever for cues on feelings. Kids want to feel like they are secure more than anything. Even if they don't tell you that, even if your teenagers aren't saying, "Mom, tell me that everything's going to be okay," they want to know that you're okay. They want to know that you think that we're going to be okay. And so what's important for parents to know is that there is hope. There is progress. We are going to get to a new normal. Schools will reopen. Workplaces will reopen. That they may look different. They may look very different, and we don't know when that will be. But it's important that parents understand that there's hope and there's progress, and that kids are looking to their parents for those cues, sometimes even the body language, to suggest that we're going to be okay. So one thing I'm telling parents who are patients of mine is to make sure you're checking your own anxiety. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. You make sure you're prioritizing sleep, getting outside, connecting with friends, journaling, talking to the therapist that you had, or getting a therapist that you never had and need to have now, so that you can be aware of your own feelings and your own actions and your own presence in the house. Because let's face it, our kids are watching us. And while we are not responsible for every single thing they do, and the kids are not little mini-me's, they're not products of us exactly, nor should they be, they are watching. And so if we can check our own anxiety and make sure that we are feeling like our best authentic selves, then we can help our kids help themselves. I think another thing that kids look for is they look for they're looking for conversation, even if they don't say it. So taking an opportunity when you're say cleaning up the dishes at the end of the night, which I wish I could say my kids do every night for me, but they do not. Although I will say they're doing a little more chore because we have to. It's more of a team effort at this point. But let's say when you're just like milling around the house because you are more, just say, "Hey, how are you feeling about this whole thing? Like, does it make you feel scared? Does it make you feel vulnerable? Does it make you feel worried? Does it make you miss your friends?" Like, give them some vocabulary words, because they are feeling those things, and it really can help for you to validate them and say, "Look, that is so normal. That is so appropriate. Like, of course you feel like that, and I hear you, and I'm here for you." Even if they don't come to you for that support, they still want to know you're there. And then in terms of like behaviors on what to do, I mean, here's what I'm recommending to parents: is follow the rules, follow the facts. If we are seeing, like we are in DC, that the cases are going up and up and up, DC is now considered a hotspot for coronavirus. So you as a parent should not be going outside and like hugging your neighbors, or throwing a dinner party, or even socializing in a park with people, because that gives the message to kids that it's okay. But so parents really need to model their behavior. They need to model their feelings, their behavior. And look, I am the first to admit that I make mistakes every single day with parenting. I do say things I regret. I do things I wish I hadn't done. And I'm not modeling perfect behavior. But I'm saying that if we can model behavior and tell them that we are trying to follow the facts, we're following the experts, it's going to be okay, we're going to get through this, and I hear you and your feelings are valid, and here's what I'm doing, and let's figure out some workaround to hang out with your friends without breaking the rules and getting sick and getting grandma sick. That's pretty good parenting. And just do the best you can, because we're all in this together, and just do the best you can.
Well, it's so when you say follow the rules, I think a lot of people do want to follow the rules, but
Yeah.
the rules are not so clear.
Here's the thing, the rules are definitely not clear. And as you know, the federal government has turned it over to the states to make individual decisions on what to do. And actually, this is exactly why, Sue, I've decided to put out a daily newsletter off of my website. And if you want to look at my website, it's www.lucymcbride.com. The reason I'm doing that, because it is so confusing to people what to do. And I think what we're faced with, and one of the reasons we feel so on edge and so vulnerable, is because, as you said, we're getting this sort of flood of media. We're seeing people, dying and suffering. And then we're also seeing outside that our neighbors are walking around without masks and walking their dogs, and your kids are nagging you, can't I see my friends? And other moms are letting, it's so confusing. So the reason I've been writing this letter is because we need to basically drill down to the basics and look at the facts. We need to look at the facts of this virus. The virus is much more lethal and much more contagious than the flu. And because of that, the social distancing is essential. And social distancing should apply to every single person in this country right now. I mean, if your governor in your state has said that your economy is open again, you still need to figure out who you trust and who you believe. At the end of the day, you need to understand what the facts are about the virus. The facts are about how contagious it is. You need to understand your own personal health risks and your personal vulnerabilities. And then you need to understand what kind of risk tolerance you have on an individual basis.
Can you distill it to your family? You have 3 teenagers.
Yep.
And so you've got the benefit of firsthand knowledge medically.
Right.
And then you go home to these 3 kids who probably look like most of our 3 kids and want the same things that they want. So
they want the same thing.
So what are the rules in your house?
So I'll tell you what the rules are in our house, and I'll tell you that they're not perfect, because none of us are perfect, and we're just doing the best we can. But in DC right now, because we're a hotspot, the mayor appropriately has said it's a stay-at-home order. So, and in order to, and stay at home means stay at home unless you're an essential worker. So I'm at my office right now because I'm seeing some patients who I can then treat safely to avoid having them go to the ER where they might get coronavirus. But I'm basically doing telemedicine. So you should not be doing anything in the city in DC, in my opinion, and this is the opinion of our mayor as well, unless it's essential.
So you can't go for a run, or you can?
Well, no, you can go for a run. Sorry. So you can, in terms of going into public places. So any public interaction that's non-essential is not supposed to happen. Now, people have to go to the grocery store and buy food. So what we're doing in my family right now is one of us will go to the grocery store, once a week, and we get all our stuff and we bring it home, and we buy bulk stuff, and we're not wiping down groceries anymore because the FDA said 2 weeks ago that's not essential. We are not social distancing within the house because we consider our family a pod. So we are, if one of us has coronavirus, we're all going to get it anyway, because you cannot socially distance. We don't have that big of a house. And I mean, socially distance, it sort of doesn't really work in a family. But when my son asks me if his girlfriend can come over for dinner, I have to answer in this way. I want to see her so much too. I think she's awesome. I feel how badly you want to see her. He's 18, right? But the problem is that anytime you bring another person into your pod, you're adding risk. And even though I trust her and I trust her parents, you can't make the risk zero. And how bad would we feel if her coming over got you sick, we got her sick, and then she got her grandmother sick, or vice versa? So I think, so we're basically I'm trying to, practice what I preach with my patients, which is stay home, go out only when it's essential, to get food, to get outside in nature, which is our sanctuary right now. Thank God we're not in total lockdown. We can actually be outside, and we are taking walks as a family. I'm taking walks by myself when I can't get my kids to go with me, taking the dog out, because nature is our friend at this moment. And is, the nature in a beautiful way has no idea it's a pandemic. The birds and the trees did not get the memo, and they're happier than ever. So nature is a good place to be. But then, we are talking about, because we have to for our mental health, what fun things can we plan during the pandemic? But it's hard and it's painful. And there are days where the kids are just so exhausted, and there are days where their parents, including me, are exhausted and frustrated. And I just want to hug my mom. I just want to see my friends. I just want to go to the grocery store without being afraid. It's awful. But there are workarounds, and there are a lot of indicators that we're making progress. The antibody tests are more and more widely available. People are recovering. My coronavirus patients are doing beautifully. I just talked to one of my patients this morning. She's actually a nurse. We're going to be on NPR tonight together talking about her success story as a nurse and a coronavirus survivor. I mean, most people are doing great. So there's a lot of hope. But right now, we're trying to just, batten down the hatches. And the more we socially distance and the more we play by the rules, the sooner we get our life back. So what's hard, I think, for the kids, because my kids really understand it now. It's been drilled into their head, by me, and they're really interested in it. That this is a collective effort. This is not about just us. So the more I see people out there, and my kids, when they see people out there on the news, and even young people in particular, congregating and socializing and ignoring the facts of the virus, it's hard, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm suffering so much. I'm not seeing my girlfriend. I'm not seeing my friends. I don't get to play on my, baseball team, and yet other people get to frolic. That doesn't make sense. I mean, different states are in different stages. There will come a time when we are back in the world, when we basically just have to assess our risk tolerance. Because remember, the coronavirus is never going to be gone, zero. It's never going to be zero. We're going to have to get it to a threshold where we are comfortable leaving our homes, flying on airplanes, visiting grandma with a lethal virus still in circulation. Remember we do that every winter with the flu. So in other words, there's going to become a time where in DC, where I'm sitting right now, which is a hotspot right now, which will not be a hotspot. The social distancing will have made a difference, and we will be allowed to move about the world based on, hopefully, science and data and fact, and the fact that hospitals are ready and testing is more available. And then we just have to make a personal decision. Am I willing to go see my elderly, parent in a nursing home, or should I, because I'm not been so good about social distance, should I just stay home? So we're going to get to that point where it's basically individual responsibility. I'm authentically interested in helping as many people as I can get through the pandemic, because even though there is a dizzying array of facts and information, there's still indisputable truths about the moment we are in, even though the moment is changing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm happy to answer questions about masks and gloves and that kind of thing if you want to. I mean, the practical.
Yeah, sure.
Questions.
Tell us what you're recommending. Like when your kids go outside or you go for a run, are you wearing a mask?
So personally, I'd rather just not take a run than run in a mask, because that just sounds awful. It's like running is already kind of painful enough. So, and I'm not really a runner right now, but when I go outside and I'm walking in an area of my neighborhood where there's not that many people, I don't have my mask on. I wear it like this. I have it right here. I'm at my office. I'll wear it like this, just kind of down.
Yeah.
Just because it's hot outside. But if someone approaches me, I'll put it on. Not only for my protection, but also just as a sign of respect for the other person, because I don't know if that person is immune compromised, or, I think it's just a gesture of it's like saying hello. So I'm putting it on when I'm around other people. But when I'm walking in the park with my dog or there's no one around, I'm just keeping it. Right. There is more evidence that it may be an aerosolized virus, that it can live in the air more than we thought. But still, it's okay to go on a bike ride if you're going on a path and there are no other people, to not have the mask on all the time. It's okay. The chance of getting the virus, if you're on a bike ride out in the wilderness or the woods, from someone who zooms by you in a split second, is so low. At the same time, your risk is less if you have a mask on. That's where you have to use your personal judgment. The glove thing, So I'm just like, I'm only using gloves when I'm seeing patients, but the glove thing, I don't think it's actually that great of an idea because you can just wash your hands. If you have Purell and you can wash your hands, that's actually better because wearing gloves can actually mistakenly spread the virus because you are sort of lured into this notion that your hands are not part of your body and then you just kind of like touch a lot of different things. But if you actually just use your hands and wash them, that's safer for you and the public.
All right, one more practical question and then we'll
Yeah.
wrap this up. So adult kids who came home and are waiting to go back and resume their lives,
Yes.
and flying, like what would you say?
Well, planes are flying right now, right? I mean, it's
Right.
fascinating. When I see an airplane fly over DC, I'm like, huh, I wonder who's on that plane. Maybe it's just the pilot. Um, I mean, like so my son's about to go to college or supposed to go to college. Um, we're going to drive if college starts. It's going to be a long drive. He's going to college up in Connecticut at Wesleyan. Um, we'll drive because it just, first of all, we're going to have a ton of stuff like futons but like we'll drive because of that, but also because I just think that any way to minimize your exposure to lots of hands and touching is better. But we'll have to get back to a place where we fly. Humans are not meant to just stay put. I mean, flying is a modern luxury, but flying is part of our life. It's part of our work for a lot of people too. So I think we will get back to flying. It just, I'm going to be following the news like you are every day to see how, the airlines are responding. Are they taking seats out of the airplane so that people can be 6 feet apart? Are they giving everybody masks? Are they, staggering people so you're not all crowded in that gate area when they're like calling, the different sections to board? If they're doing all of that and you feel like your health is under control and you are wearing a mask and you're good at hand washing, we're going to be able to fly again.
Okay, so I want to hear, what do you know for sure?
I know for sure that we will get through this. I know for sure we will get through this. Like, human beings are wired for survival and human beings are incredibly resilient. I have delivered some of the worst news to patients and I've seen miracles happen. I've seen beauty in dying. I have seen grace in suffering. We are survivors as a species. We will get through this and we will work through it. And there are a lot of smart people who are putting their heads together to figure out how life could actually be better. I mean, there are things about the pandemic that are being laid bare, right? Like education system, the healthcare system, inequalities in our socioeconomic, segments of this country. There's so many things being laid bare that I know, and part of it is hope, but part of it is based on what I see the United States having been able to do before, that change is possible and change in the possible and towards the positive is possible. And I think it will happen. I think we will have, I for one know that I am going to prioritize family dinner, time together, being in nature more, because I've realized how important those things are, because those are the essential parts of our lives that we can have right now. I mean, if you're lucky enough to have a roof under over your head. So I know that we will get through this. I know that patients and human beings are capable of appreciating things in a crisis that they can then document in their minds and even catalog in a journal and then bring with them into post-pandemic life. I also have faith in science. I know science and the planet are on our side. Science and scientists are collaborating more than ever. I know there are a lot of good people working really hard to make the world safer and healthier now and for the future.
Dr. Lucy McBride, thank you so much for your time. This was fascinating. Thank you.